Now you're watching Amka Kenya right here on K24 TV, and of course this is the Amka 20 viral segment where we're looking at what the local dailies are saying. But before that, let's just have a recap of our question this particular morning, and that is in regards to the privatization of the Kenya Pipeline Corporation. And we ask you, what is your take on the government's plan to privatize the Kenya Pipeline Company? What is your take on the government's plan to privatize the Kenya Pipeline Company? Before we embark on our conversation, Tony, what are Kenyans saying?
Feedback mbili tatu in regards to the question of the mzamaji. We just heard some few minutes ago from Remy ya kwamba wabunge wanazidi deliberate on the issue ya kuweza privatize Kenya Pipeline. We have a comment here from Shadi Lokitari who says at least corruption during hiring may disappear. That's a comment from Shadi Lekitari in regards to the story, privatization of Kenya Pipeline. Then here you have a comment from Ezra Langat who says, those familiar with how Kenya Airways rose to prominence as one of Africa's leading airlines know that its success was largely driven by privatization. Privatization often proves more effective, paving the way for greater efficiency and higher profit margins. Similarly, if Kenya Pipeline is to be privatized, it could generate substantial profit and enhanced operational performance. That's a comment from Ezra Langat, who is supporting the whole idea of privatizing Kenya Pipeline, akitoa example of Kenya Airways. Now we have a comment here from Caroli Chemigin. Good morning, Caroli, who says, wonderful plans, buy shares, stop complaining. That's a comment from Chemigin in this story this morning. We are asking you in regards to the question of the day, what's your take on government plans to privatize the Kenya Pipeline Company? Now, if I can ask my learned friends, that is our guest here, Remy and Ian, wakati serikali ina privatize kampuni kama Kenya Pipeline, kumaanisha kwamba haingizi profit ya kutosha ama inataka ikuwe competitive? Ebu nieleze kama Mkenya kawaida ambaye haelewi.
Mr. Ndagwa, that would be more up your
on my
street.
side.
Yeah.
So I think the thinking behind that,
okay,
in essence, is to ensure that the company is making more profits.
Oh yeah.
But on the flip side, I believe that privatizing this company per se will be a loophole to ensuring that what would have gone to benefiting the people and the country now it is a loophole for those who are in private businesses, and especially those who are working. That is the risk, those who are working with people within the government to take advantage of it. And while there is the hanging fruit of making more benefits for this country, for these companies, then there is also the risk of we run of having these companies going into the wrong hands of people who we do not trust. We have seen such attempts with what we are calling shifshar, and this is generally a wrong move. While there is the intention of probably making more profits, but on the flip side, what do we risk losing?
Fair enough. Of course, just like this year's Treasury alluded to, says this is an bid to increase the efficiency of the Kenya Pipeline Corporation, as you know, privatizing it will help the government save 100 billion Kenya shillings. That is according to CPA, not FCPA. FCPA is Nancy Gadungu. CPA, John Barry. Now, back to our conversation, Mr. Ngugi. Before I rope in Remy, Professor Laka alluded to, Halimo Shauri of Pwani University says, Raila is more interested in being a kingmaker and has always been interested in being a kingmaker than being the king.
Yes.
Do you agree with that? And if so, will he be the kingmaker in 2027?
For the first question, I believe in that 100%. In the previous election, 2022, was part of what was Azimio, in one of the parties that was in the coalition. And my observation from that alone is that the Honorable Raila Odinga, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, has never been interested in becoming the president of this nation. That
really?
has never been his interest. Because really, if you look at all his stances at attempting to be the president, you will realize that his campaigns are...
But he has alluded that
yes.
those particular elections that he has lost were due to discrepancies. It's not per se that he did not want...
That is political strategy, by all means.
True, but can we really say that he did not want a stab at the presidency?
And there are many reasons to believe that, and of course some of which we cannot delve into right now. And especially if you look at how the campaigns were run from the secretariats to the parties involved deeply in the campaigns, you will realize that the attempt was just a show and not really an attempt to get the presidency per se. What the Right Honorable Raila Odinga has been interested in is being part of the game and being on the table always. That there is an attempt to ensure that instead of being where there is accountability.
So he makes the kings, quote unquote, he creates them, and then by proxy, if I get you right, he would, let's say, lead vicariously through them. Is that what you're saying?
He was a kingmaker in 2002.
Yes, but now in general, I'm saying, like, just generally, like whoever kingmaker, even if they don't, they're not in the executive, I mean, in other levels, does he lead vicariously through those particular kings?
Indirectly, because for the last 3 or so elections where he has been involved, you will see that his involvement motivates the other side to vote against him, which indeed helps the other candidates to be the winners of the president. But what I will say about him, in all respect, is that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga has been interested more in gaining clout, political clout, enough for him to bargain for a peace in the next government, which enables him some leeway to be in government and not be in government at the same time.
So all those stabs at the presidency, it's just a facade, from where I said. Because when you say is a kingmaker, you talked about 2002, 2007, 2013, 2017, 2022, all this, stabbed at the presidency.
If you look at it, and if I look, now that I look at it from the angle of 2022 election, I see it that way, that there is no bigger interest in becoming the winner in the end, but he is still the winner because at the end he gets what he wants.
So this article alludes to the aspect that he is now, not using the same energy, also because he's older, and that, his strategy of, having to do the most, if I can say, at a rally is not in the same breath, the way he used to do it.
Yes.
So are we now seeing him slowly, backing down? Yes.
Getting out of
losing relevance?
Yes, he has lost some considerable amount of relevance in the past, but that is not of his own making. It is, we are in a new dispensation. And that is not of the making of any of these older
Does he understand this dispensation?
I think he does. He is a very, he is a politician by all, in all respect. He is a good politician and good at what he does. And I will say he has never lost. Because again, it depends on what interest he has in this. And political business is booming.
What do you make of the AU bid?
The stance at the AU? I think that was an honest attempt from his side. He would have loved to have that. And but I think even how the campaigns for that were run were shoddy, in my opinion, which is very respectful to him.
Okay.
Yes.
In just 20 seconds before we move to our next story, I asked one more question. Will he be the kingmaker in 2027?
With the whole revolutionary Gen Z na kila kitu?
He will not be. He will have been if what we have now did not happen. But now things have moved past them. The ship left too early for this politician. And the carpet has been pulled under the rug has been pulled under their feet. And too sad for them that they did not realize and they did not see it coming. He would have been if things remained the same as they were before.
Fair enough.
Yes.
I want us to move to page 5 now on the People Daily, and you can, of course, move there with us. You will have it on your screen in a moment. And they say how devolved units paid 3.4 billion in salaries manually. They say more than 20 counties violated provisions set by National Treasury on use of the integrated system. Now, I don't want to connect that particular story because among the counties that have been listed here include Samburu County, rather, and they say they made annual payments of salaries amounting to 319 million, Nandi County 296 million, Nyeri 268 million, and so forth and so on. My question would be, because the 9th Devolution Conference will kick off today after being officially opened by the head of state. And one of the things that many people do argue and say is that we've also devolved corruption.
Very true.
Do you agree with that?
I agree. And now we have too many stomachs to feed, more than we did before. And this is because we have made smaller presidents at every county. And now because of that, each smaller president comes with people who they need to please and people who they need to thank. And because of that, we have opened too many loopholes for us to be able to steal.
So we've copied basically whatever structures, quote unquote, we have at the top, the executive, and we've brought that down into these levels.
Without proper planning. Because if, for example, you looked at those who came into power as governors in 2013 for the first time, you realize that there were so many teething problems because of our failure to plan and to organize ourselves into this new dispensation. And because of that, you will see that most of these former governments of 2013 to 2017, there are debts that were carried forward from those governments. And it has happened because most of the contractors who did business or who played business with these former governments of that time were mostly not paid. Some of them are still claiming monies that were already allocated and that were dispersed. But for some reason, some which have not gotten to the hands of those who did business with these governments. So I think there is also failure to plan on our part and the part of the leadership that was and that is right now.
Fair enough. Let me just ask, because it's not only corruption. They say here in this particular article, in Kisii, for example, the report said that the best performing candidates in interviews were overlooked, raising concerns about fairness and transparency in hiring. They also go ahead to say process in Mombasa County, 16 employees were promoted without undergoing performance appraisal. In Kisumu County, some workers advanced by more than 2 job groups within a single year without sufficient justification, while in Nandi County, employees were promoted despite unresolved disciplinary and or integrity issues, thereby undermining the credibility of the human resource management with regard to rewards and sanctions. Now, it may have its flaws.
Yes.
But would you say the positives of this, devolved units or that came with, devolutions do outweigh the negatives?
They do. And I will say that because for the first time in the history of this country, regions or counties that will have never benefited from maybe having a share of the national cake are having it. And now it is totally on the side of those who are leading those counties. And squarely, the failures of these counties must lie on those who are leading those counties, because now it is in their hands. I mean, you can look at counties like Turkana, you can look at counties like Migori or Homa Bay or Kisumu, where, for example, if we used the case of, which is a single case of prevalence in HIV, or formerly what we had, the prevalence of malaria, which now has subsided, are things that we can look at and say counties have benefited, because now they have the ability to mobilize themselves and carry out programs or projects that are tailor-made for those people specifically. But now you see in the former dispensation generalizing all these things and these campaigns and these programs, these projects, then some lose out because the problems of one county are not the problems of the other. The problems of Kiambu County are not the problems of Migori, are not the problems of Turkana. And for example, the problems that are in Kiambu County, my county, were previously overlooked. because there was the notion that these regions are okay, but they are not. So I think the advantages or the profits of it outweigh the negatives. But there is also a lot to do in terms of ensuring that we do not carry or we do not borrow the negatives from what we had earlier in the central government to what we have now in the this dispensation of devolved governments.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
But also, just I'm sorry for taking another second. Just to look at it in a different way, there is also need for cooperation and collaboration between these two tiers of government. That you will see that in the health sector, because of how we do not understand the mandate of these counties, then there are problems that arise because of lack of collaboration. That the county government will say, will blame the government for not disbursing monies for projects, and the national government will say these about the counties. So some people are getting lost in the middle.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Tony, let's cross over to your side.
Mtazamaji, from that story ya Nancy Kadhungu, now let's shift our gears to page 22 this morning. Page 22 of People Daily, on the lighter part of this amazing newspaper that is People Daily. Remember, you can get this story kila mahali on People Daily. That is, chukua simu yako alafu uweze kudownload the application ya Google Play ya People Daily ndani ya Google Play Store, lakini pia ndani ya App Store, alafu uweze kujionea habari mbalimbali kuanzia sporti hadi biashara na siasa. Now page 22, I want us we help this man sorted together, pamoja, as a nation, as a country. Now, in page 22 of People Daily, this guy feels trapped. I mean, and I feel kwamba yuko trapped by girlfriend yake. Allow me to read this story. Hi, Chokis. I have been going out with a woman for the last 3 years. We have been good friends and have talked of a future together. I have told her severally that I am not ready for marriage, but she doesn't seem to understand. What shocked me is that recently she told me she's pregnant. I didn't want us to have a baby outside wedlock, and she knew this very well. Now, here we are. I feel manipulated and cheated. I am annoyed with her, and this has greatly affected our relationship. I am confused. I don't want to be a deadbeat dad. Neither do I want to settle down now just because she's pregnant. What do I do? Please help. We will be helping her 9 a.m. on the show.
We should ask Keitani if he's ever been in situations.
Keitani, this guy feel yuko trapped.
Like this, have you ever been in a situation?
Let me tell you.
Hakuwa anataka mtoto nje ya ndoa. Now this lady now yuko pregnant. What should this guy do, Keitani?
I think what that guy should do, should tune into K24 hiyo masaa.
From 9 a.m.
Mwambie venye mambo itakuwa.
Tom Musembi and Yvonne Hisa. Tom Musembi and Yvonne Hisa and Tony Mwirigi, we shall be answering your question. Mtazamaji, that is page 22 of People Daily. Now let's shift our gears turudi nyuma kidogo mpaka page 7. Page 7 of People Daily ni statistics ambazo zimetolewa from CA, that is Communication Authority of Kenya, and they are saying divorced women, they are the most addicted to phone usage. As you can see on your TV this morning, that's a report that we shall be highlighting it deeply from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Amka Trend Talks. Na wanasema kwamba kwa hii historia kwamba mtazamaji, divorced and separated women living in urban areas between the age of 35 and 44 with higher education are most addicted to mobile phone. This is a new report from CA. Mtazamaji, to understand fully this report, make sure you tune in on Amka Trend Talks. Me and my gang, we shall be telling you why the urban ladies, the divorced one, are the highest in percentage of using phone in Kenya. Those two stories you don't want to miss this morning.
Tony, Tony, I'm afraid because you're also always on your phone.
I'm not a divorcee.
No, I've not said anything about
No.
I just said use your phone.
You are addicted to your phone.
I use it for business purpose. Okay. But for this story, they are saying divorced women the most addicted to phone usage.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the same? I'm curious, Ian.
You see, wacha niseme, mimi ni kijana mdogo, mambo ya siyaelewi mimi.
Haya sawa basi.
Nitaketi nifunzwe mengi na wale ambao wana tajriba kwenye maeneo haya.
Twende basi kwa gazeti la The Standard asubuhi leo tusikie wanasemaje.
Of course, on the front page of the Standard, they say devolved corruption. 12 years later, they say billions looted, services gutted. 12 years after devolution's hopeful dawn, county halls have become epicenters of graft. From Okoth Obado's turbulent tenure to Ferdinand Waititu's high-profile trial, a parade of governors past and present stand accused of plundering public coffers. Hospitals without Drugs, ghost projects, and unpaid workers now define the devolution story, as the promise of bringing service closer to the people morphs into a feeding true for the well-connected. That is a story on page 3, 4, and 5 on the Standard, rather. And before I let Ngugi in, the Daily Nation on the front page, they say, alarm as IEBC risks bangling mini polls. I know we talked about the issue of devolving corruption, but here they say controversy. The polls agency has scheduled several parliamentary and ward by-elections on November 27, but the legality of the date has been contested by critics who argue it falls beyond the 90-day constitutional limit and exposes conduct of the vote to a legal challenge. That is a story on page 4. Of course, there are concerns, and among those who raised concerns are not only most of them from the legal profession, including Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, who took to his ex-handle to express his frustrations with that particular decision. Lawyer Kibe Mungai here says this appears designed to look busy while frustrating the recall of members of parliament. If you can't follow the law, you are taking instructions from somewhere else. As you respond to that, Mr. Ngugi, because you're also winding up.
Yes.
The ODM Youth League and one Mr. John Ketora, who was contesting the fact that the IBC did nominate one Harold Kipchumba Kimuge to replace John Mbadi in the National Assembly, despite Mbadi representing workers and the IBC, what they would have done in the eyes of John Ketora is replace Mbadi, who was representing workers, with a worker, but instead they replaced Mbadi, who was representing workers, with a PWD, and they said the IBC chairperson is compromised, and in fact he went ahead to say he takes orders from status, from President William Ruto. Now this allegations here again. Yes. What do you make of it to begin with? And
I think to start with what the president of the long-serving president of the ODM, long-serving because he has been there for ages and ages, has said...
Are you trying to say there's no democracy?
Well, there is democracy in ODM because ODM is Orange Democratic Party, so there is democracy.
Is it just by name on paper? Are you saying it's just on paper?
Well, we say there is power in what a name is. But I will say he is right to some extent. And I will say that he should not blame the IBC too much, because I guess he understands what political math means. And the political math will have mathed before, but now it does not, because there are changes in the arrangements that we have. And it is true, while we will want to trust the IBC, there is also the loophole which we must address and do it legally by addressing the constitution or the laws that we have to ensure that we close these gaps, because there will always be trust deficit in all elections, especially in regards to the fact that one of those contesting in most of these cycles of election is given the task or is given the responsibility to appoint or to have the power to bring in the body that will oversee the election. And if you look at it that way, then you see that there will always be trust deficit, because we have not organized ourselves in a way that separates the presidency from the person who is holding this office. So when the person who is holding this office is a candidate, who again is also given the responsibility to be in charge of bringing in a credible, because I mean politically that is what it is, to bringing in a credible IBC, then there is always trust deficit. And again, you will look at the issue of what we had, the creation of the NADCO report by the group, the broad-based group that was led by His Excellency Dr. Kalonzo Musyoka. And then that was part of Azimio. And again, PPLC, the party's liaison committee, brought in someone to the committee that was supposed to bring the IBC. But then, remember, that was Azimio of the past. But now, this has disintegrated. And